Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bobby Mills for theindependent.com with another version of Bobby Mills Independent Sports Talk. We're going to do a little wrestling today, and we have with us one of the men in the state that, well, one of the only guys that covers wrestling exclusively during the wintertime, Mr. Mark Zavala from the Grand Island Independent. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're doggone right. If I can get my hand out here, yeah. I don't think anybody knows more about wrestling than Mark. We have Eric Williams with us also. Throw in his 2 cents worth. So there's a big event coming up. By the time we talk, this show actually airs. It'll be Thursday, I think. And in a couple of the next day will be one of the biggest events. Do I dare say the biggest event of wrestling during the season before a state wrestling tournament?
I would say yes. It's actually a dual tournament. It's where teams can wrestle.
It's a dual tournament,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And not only, it's the Flatwater Fracas.
Yep.
You've covered every one?
No. 2009 was my first one.
I'd say you're a veteran then, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this not only encompasses Nebraska, I might have to test your knowledge here. How many outstate teams usually come in? Over half a dozen, or?
No, not that many. This year there's 4.
Which is
pretty good. Manhattan, Kansas has been here every year.
Wow.
Smith Center, Kansas is also coming. They were here. They've been here a few times and then had other commitments. I cannot remember.
Well, that has to be a great wrestling program because I look out my back window and they're at Central Catholic's meet, the Smith Center Redmond.
Yep.
So now there's something unique about this tournament. I don't think it's happened before. We're going to have a college wrestling dual exhibition. Would that be?
No, it's going to be a regular season dual.
Cool.
Hastings College is wrestling Wisconsin Oshkosh. As many of you know, Mike Shadwinkle, former Grand Island senior high coach, is the coach at Hastings College. And not sure if you all remember Afran Ayala. He's the head coach at Wisconsin Oshkosh. He was a former state champion for Grand Island back in, I think, 2003.
Doesn't seem that long ago. Every time I think of him, it's still back then. And how in the world can he be a college wrestling coach? I wonder if he was a high school coach before that. He almost had to be, didn't he? Boy,
he might have been. I don't remember.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to remember from his bio. I thought he coached at another college. I cannot remember where though.
That's going to be, and of course Shadwinkle, Mr. Shadwinkle did not coach him. Kurt Froling did, the one and only Kurt Froling. So can you tell us a little bit about the teams or athletes that might be participating in that Flatwater Fracas? That will be at the Heartland Event Center in Fauner Park, 2-day event, am I correct?
Yes.
What a great thing, man.
Starts at 9:30 both days. I think the one team you got to watch for, Kearney. Kearney's always usually pretty good. I think they're ranked number 2 behind Millard South, and they did pretty well at the Council Bluffs Classic. There's a few Nebraska schools that go to that. I think they got 3rd overall.
Which is pretty impressive.
Pretty good because Apple Valley out of Minnesota, who is usually one of the top wrestling high schools in the country, is out there, and they pretty much dominated that. Trying to look.
Does Central Catholic or Northwest?
Northwest will be there.
Okay.
But Central Catholic, they used to when it was getting started, but
I think they were in it last year too. They were not in it.
Central Catholic was not.
Kind of, maybe not enough kids.
They don't have enough kids because they want this to be a very competitive.
Yeah, it seemed like a few of those times there was a lot of open classes and teams were it wasn't very competitive as far as a dual tournament was. But they've eliminated that since the last time I've made it out there. So.
Are there small schools involved from Nebraska or not?
The only small school that I see on here, Donovan Trumbull.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
And West Point Beamer is a small Class B school, so they got some pretty good wrestlers.
But it's hard for those little schools to fill every class, I think. Every weight class. So how about some of the athletes that we should know around here, and how about that I would know from football?
Oh, you know this one, Mark Zexer from Donovan Trumbull. As you know, he's a transfer from Adams Central. He was a 2-time runner-up down at Adams Central the last 2 years.
How's he adapted over there? Is he doing?
He looks like he's doing okay. I watched him at Wood River. this past weekend. Pretty much dominated, which I kind of expected him to.
Does he, I wonder what he looks like without a football uniform. Is he pretty ripped or not?
Pretty ripped, and he's pretty athletic.
Oh yeah, I've got to ask you a question. Here's something I always wondered, Eric. When I look at an athlete that's like 175 pounds on a football roster, and I want to find him on a wrestling, look on the state to see what he did. How far down in pounds would he be? Not like 160 pounder? It's hard to say, isn't it?
It's hard to say because there's some kids that are actually that might be there already.
Yeah.
Because some of the college coaches, like for football, probably don't want them to lose that much weight.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't know because I have trouble finding them. I said, well, they're not going to be 170 pounds because they have pads on.
Now here in the past probably about 10 years, they did put that weight restriction on it to where you could only lose so much weight.
Oh, that's right.
Going into the wrestling season, because I know a few guys that wrestled when I was in high school, they would drop down.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking 30, 45 pounds just to get to a weight. Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So they've since really restricted a lot of that just for health issues.
That's what I thought.
Sense.
Boy, that's a lot of weight.
I can't remember what that restriction was.
Well, I remember watching wrestlers in the old college gym with winter coats on, riding bikes, trying to lose weight before that was crazy. That's a lot of years ago. I think they came in covered wagons. But tell us a little about some more athletes we should be watching. How about senior high, a big contingent or not?
They got a few good wrestlers. They have 4 returning state qualifiers. They got one at 106 that's ranked in the AnyWrestle.com rankings. He's ranked 6th. They got another kid that's ranked at number 6 at 132 and number 4 at 138.
Well, it's not like
Ramirez at 106, Kuda at 138, and Sliva at 132.
Now, do they get many football kids to go out for wrestling? Do they? Good deal. What the amazing thing to me, and I think I talked to Jim Langan about this, maybe you'd know, I don't know how Amherst can field such a dynamite wrestling team and yet be competitive in basketball. And I think the wrestling team is who the basketball coach has to try to steal players from, because that is a wrestling town, my gosh.
And they're good once again. Well, they got set. Well, they're pretty deep, and they're probably the only Class D school that's usually pretty.
Wow.
They can fill all 14 weight classes a year, so that's kind of why they're always so successful.
And then back in the day, Clark's used to be good. That's before you were,
Norm Manstead?
Yeah, you might have been a baby then, but you've heard of that. But
he's still coaching.
Isn't that crazy? He's down at High Plains now, is that correct?
He's still, yep.
Oh, wow.
He's still there.
The old master himself. So who's the favorite coming into this meet? Is it hard to say?
It's hard to say because Gretna's got some pretty good depth. They won it. They beat Kearney last year, and plus they added a state champion and a kid we're familiar with, Tyler Cunningham out of St. Paul. He won Class C 106 last year.
Wow.
His dad got a job down in Gretna, and now he
I didn't
down
realize that.
there, and they've got two. I think they got 2 other returning state champions back too.
Crazy.
So.
Yeah, I don't know what the admission is, but if you're a wrestling fan, that's one thing you sure don't want to miss is a Flatwater Fracas. It's been going on a long time and it's drawn, and I think somebody that does well in that tournament might, the wrestling, some of the out-state competition is going to do well the rest of the year. Wouldn't you say that again? I mean,
they usually do.
Yeah, this is a great, great stepping stone early in the year too.
I really like that tournament because it is different from every other wrestling tournament with the dual setup, and that's what I really like about it.
And it gets other kids that don't normally do well in tournaments. It gives them a chance to find some success.
Yeah.
And then plus you can move kids around too.
And is it always been that way?
Yeah, it's been a dual tournament.
Oh,
now, is there some JV teams participating? Not this year.
According to the list, no.
Okay, because I know they've done that in the past sometimes
just to
too.
fill it up.
Yep. So okay, that's good that they don't have to do that this year.
Yeah.
So let's go to that thing. You're gonna want to see that. So tell us about some of the teams in our area that are strong this year in wrestling. We know Kearney and Amherst, of course, out of the area, but Donovan Trumbull overall, or just maybe Zexer and?
Zexer, they got another good kid, Brad Bosch. I think he's at 182 or 195. He's up there. He was a state qualifier. I think the one team, Burwell.
I was gonna say Burwell.
Burwell was state runner-up last year in Class D. A kid that you're familiar with, Tyler Gideon, at 220. He won 220. I think he won 220 last year. He's a defending state champion.
I would think that would be one tough kid to bring down. I mean, you couldn't bring him down on the football field. On the mat wouldn't be any different. Wonder how many football players are on that wrestling team. I don't imagine, because Burwell, they may be stronger in wrestling than they are in basketball, but they do have a good basketball team this year too. So that might be another school like Amherst that's amazing in that regard.
I was gonna say
Goodness.
the Glouse dynasty down there, right?
I don't know if don't think there's Glouses wrestling anymore, but Nathan's still coaching down there.
That has helped their football program. I
Yes,
can
it
tell you
has.
that.
So, don't know.
Adams Central have any? Is Kearney Catholic have a good wrestling? I don't think. Or do they have wrestling?
They do. They do. They got a few good wrestlers. I saw them. They were at Wood River as well. Broken Bow might not be too bad. They got some pretty good kids. They do have a state champion contender in Clayton Glendy. He beat Evan Waddington, first meet of the year from Wood River.
Whoa,
In
Waddington's pretty good, isn't he?
State runner-up. His only loss was in the state finals last year.
Wow. And that kid, a couple of years before he even got into high school, they were plugging that kid. So
his dad, Darren, who's the wrestling coach at Wood River, just took him all over the country.
I don't think I'd like to wrestle him either. Now that little guy, I understand in an exhibition took Zach Mayhew, who was behind the camera down. No, I don't think so. But anyway, is Wood River deep or not? Nope.
Nope, but they got another good kid that's state champion material, Wyatt Allen.
Cool. That's the nice thing about wrestling. It gives so many kids the opportunity to compete. And I think, as I said before, it really helps football. But is there a bigger event athletic-wise? Well, maybe the state track meet, but than the state wrestling tournament. Maybe it's the overall with the 2 days, state wrestling might be. Wow.
State wrestling.
They draw quite a, they say if you haven't been to that, you're missing the color, you know.
It's a fun event to watch. Of all the events that I cover, state wrestling might be one of my most favorite things.
And it hasn't lost the luster moving to Omaha.
No.
From
That's
Lincoln.
was my next good point.
I didn't go the first year when it was down there in 2006. I think, I don't know, it has been sold out, I've heard, the last few years though.
I remember going several times with when Froling was still coaching, going to Devaney Center and watching a lot of those guys wrestle down there, and love the Devaney Center setup.
But the thing with Devaney, it's not as big.
It's not big,
and it's first come, first serve.
Yep.
If you don't get in, you don't get a ticket. They're probably not going to let you in.
So yeah, that's a big deal because some people really
Mm-hmm.
count on seeing that, and I think it just simply outgrew that facility, and I think it's doing fine in Omaha, and that's probably a good move that was necessary. And so anything you want to add, Mark, about the wrestling thing? The thing that amazes me is the district setup. There are so many teams in each one of these. Do you think that ought to be divided a little bit?
They serpentined it.
Oh, they did now. Okay. Is that a good move in your estimation?
We'll have to see how it goes.
Okay.
It's just like with volleyball, what they did with the sub-state was C1 and C2.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to see how the first year goes.
And that went well. Your mother
It went pretty well, yeah.
Well, let's see how wrestling does. I wasn't aware that was happening, but
That'd be interesting.
yeah, it should be.
Class A does it every year like that, but
They're going down into B and all the way.
all classes.
Oh my
all classes,
goodness.
Yep.
Well, we'll see how that goes. And I assume that the coaches had to vote on it. Is that right?
I think so.
I mean,
don't
that's
know for
who's
sure on
involved,
that.
in volleyball, same deal. So we'll see how that works out. But so my last advice to all of you would be get out and see that Flatwater Fracas this weekend and watch for Mark Zavala's coverage of wrestling in the Grand Island Independent. I don't think you're going to get any more information than that. So Mark, thanks for being here, man. It's our pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Mark Zavala, Eric Williams, Zach Mayhew behind the camera. This has been Bobby Mills on the Bobby Mills Independent Talk, covering a little wrestling. We'll be back in a little while with some basketball coverage.